राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपीजना वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपीजना वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस प्रेगाचार्य स्तोत्र शत श्री श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शिला प्रभुपाद की ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की ऑल ग्लोरीज टू असेंबल्ड डिवोटीज all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्. नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 17, Chapter entitled Mother Parvati Curses Chitra Ketu, text number 37. Iti Bhagavato Devyaha Pratishaptum Malantamaha Murdna Sajagrihe Shapam Etavat Sadhu Lakshanam. Iti Bhagavato Devyaha प्रतिशप्तुम अलंतमः मूर्धना सजगृहे शापम एतावत् साधुलक्षणम्. इति भागवतो देव्याः प्रतिशप्तुम अलंतमः मूर्धना सजगृहे शापम एतावत् साधुलक्षणम्. Visaptam Udnasajagrahe Saptam Alantamaha Urdnasajagrahe. Mataji's Iti Bhagavato Detya Iti Saptam Alanta Murdana Sajagrihe Shapam. Iti, thus Bhagavataha, the most exalted devotee, Devyaha of Parvati, Pratishaptum, to make a counter curse, Alantamaha, able in all respects, Murdana, with his head, Saha, he, Chitra Ketu, Jagrihe, accepted, Shapam, the curse, Etavad, this much, Sadhulakshanam, the symptom of a devotee. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The great devotee Chitra Ketu was so powerful that he was quite competent to curse Mother Parvati in retaliation. But instead of doing so, he very humbly accepted the curse and bowed his head before Lord Shiva and his wife. This is very much to be appreciated as the standard behavior of a Vaishnava. Purport. Upon being informed by Lord Shiva, Mother Parvati could understand that she was wrong in cursing Chitra Ketu. King Chitra Ketu was so exalted in his character that in spite of being wrongly cursed by Parvati, he immediately descended from his airplane and bowed his head before the mother, accepting her curse. This has already been explained. Narayana parasarve na kutaschana bibhyati. Chitra Ketu very sportingly felt that since his mother wanted to curse him, he could accept this curse just to please her. This is called sadhu lakshanam, the characteristics of a sadhu or a devotee. As explained by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Saishnuna. A devotee should always be very humble and meek and should offer all respects to others, especially to superiors. Being protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, a devotee is always powerful, but a devotee does not wish to show his power unnecessarily. However, when a less intelligent person has some power, he wants to use it for sense gratification. That is not the behavior of a devotee. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantigam Vandeham Sri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadhvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamsya Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratvishe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. The great devotee Chitra Ketu was so powerful that he was quite competent to curse Mother Parvati in retaliation, but instead of doing so, he very humbly accepted the curse and bowed his head before Lord Shiva and his wife. This is very much to be appreciated as the standard behavior of a Vaishnava. Hare Krishna. So, welcome everyone today morning for Srimad Bhagavatam class. And we have been reading this section from the 6th canto about Maharaj Chitra Ketu and his the curse that he receives from Parvati because he ended up laughing at Lord Shiva. So the story is that Chitra Ketu Maharaj is flying in his airplane and Lord Shiva is giving a class to several assembled rishis and sages, and Mother Parvati is very lovingly sitting on his lap with her hand over Lord Shiva's shoulder. Okay, and seeing this, Chitra Ketu begins to laugh loudly. He laughs actually in amazement that, hey, look at this, Lord Shiva is giving a class and his wife is sitting very lovingly on his lap with her arms over his shoulder, and everyone is listening as well. So it's something amazing, isn't it? So he begins to laugh loudly. Obviously, no one misunderstands this. Lord Shiva also gently smiles. All the rishis also understand. It's all fine. But Mother Parvati does not like this very much. So she ends up cursing Maharaj Chitra Ketu, to fall down from his position, become a demon, etc. And then subsequently, Lord Shiva, he glorifies a devotee. That how Narayana Parasarva. There are many wonderful verses that come up. And finally, now we are at that part of the Bhagavatam where it says Chitra Ketu had the power to counter curse, but he does not because he is a Vaishnava. So we'll have two themes for discussion today morning. One is about Shiva and Parvati because it was also Shivaratri last night and some people celebrated today or whatever. But on the occasion of Shivaratri, we are also reading something about Shiva and Parvati. So that's something amazing. So we will, first part of our talk, we will talk about Lord Shiva, Parvati and their contribution. And the second part, we will discuss about the characteristics of a pure Vaishnava. So these are the two themes for today. It is said that Shivaratri is the day when the marriage of Lord Shiva and Parvati is celebrated. That's one of the reasons for Shivaratri. And another reason it is said is he saves the world from imminent destruction. Okay, so we are going to talk on that today. So first we will start talking about this theme about Lord Shiva's role in the world. So that's the first theme for the day. And in that, I wish to first start by talking about Lord Shiva and Parvati's marriage itself. It's a wonderful union. In many ways, if you see, they seem very contrary to each other. Shiva is not wearing anything at all, literally. And Parvati is decorated gorgeously. She is, if you see even during the Navratri festival, each day for Parvati there is a different color sari, different types of ornaments. Her shringar is phenomenal. But Lord Shiva, on the other hand, he has no shringar only. He is just putting some ash from the crematorium on his forehead and sneaks, and most of the times he is not clothed at all. So you can see what a couple this is, right? It's something amazing. So he seems to be fully into Vairagya, and she is fully into Srishti. So that is their marriage. In fact, there is one story in one Purana, I'll come to the marriage, but there is one story in the Purana where Shiva is telling Parvati, Hare, what is the use of all this Srishti? It's all temporary, it's all going to be finished. So what she does is, she says, oh really, you're saying like that? So she withdraws all nourishment from all the anna. See, this anna has some nourishing power, right? Due to which we are sustained. She withdraws everything. And then suddenly everybody in the Srishti is malnutritioned and terribly distressed. And then finally, Lord Shiva also tells, no, please restore the Shakti back. And then, she does it. She's one of her names is called Annapurna. She is giving the nourishment to everybody in this particular fashion. So it's an amazing couple. And their marriage is also very famous. If you see, in the broader Sanatana Dharma, the three gods who are most popular in India, if you see anywhere, is Lord Shiva, Lord Rama and Lord Krishna. Without a doubt, right? These are most worshipped, most number of temples are for them. And hence we see also the three most important places, the Ayodhya, Kashi and Mathura. Correct? That's why the invaders also wanted to destroy that only. Because they represents the essence of these three gods. And if you see, there are these three marriages which are very famous. There's Sita Ram Vivaha, Rukmini Krishna and Shiva Parvati. In South, there is a very strong tradition where the marriage of Sita Ram, Rukmini Krishna is celebrated. I haven't seen so much in the North. But in the South, it's like there are the deities of Ram and Sita, for example. And there is a couple who will become the parents of Ram. There is another couple who will be officiating as the parents of Sita. And the entire marriage ceremony they will conduct. Kanyadan, this, that, exchange of garlands, everything they will do. And there is a huge feast at the end. It's called Sita Kalyanam or Rukmini Kalyanam. At least in Tamil Nadu or Andhra, we have such a celebration, Kerala, etc. Though I have not seen much north of the Vindhyas. So these three marriages are considered very famous, very popular, very much celebrated. But even among these three, if you look into it a little bit, Krishna's marriage, there's one author who says, Krishna's marriage is Ati Yoga. It's something that we can marvel. We can go gaga about it because Krishna kidnaps Rukmini, marries her, and not one, 16,108 times he marries, and he has 10 sons from each wife, and huge family. Okay, so one author calls it Ati Yoga. It is something too much. It's not something that ordinary people, we can only get amazed by Krishna's marriage. But we cannot really follow it because no one can manage such, what is because 16,108 wives and all this stuff. It's too much to even comprehend how you can keep so many ladies completely satisfied with you and everything. Now, if you go to Ram Sita's marriage, okay, Lord Ram married only once, but his marriage is considered, that marriage is full of viyoga, separation. Hardly they were together. If you see in the Ramayana, when Ram marries Sita and when they come back to Ayodhya, Valmiki writes, for several months they enjoyed together. See, he basically wants to say for several decades they were together, but there's no possibility of saying that. Just for 12 years they were together and they went to the forest. They're 10 years together, again separation. Ravan kidnaps. Then they bring Sita back. 2 years they are there together. Lavkush, she's pregnant. Again forest. 11,000 years separation. So Ram Leela, the marriage is wonderful, but it is viyoga. Too much separation. Human beings can't handle too much separation. They say absence makes the heart grow fonder, but that's for some time. So much if there is separation, then you forget only. Material world, bhool jaoge, end up marrying somewhere else or something. It's gone actually. It's not going to be there anymore. Right? So neither of these marriages we appreciate, we adore, we can celebrate it also. Rukmini, Krishna or Sita Ram, Vivaha. But we cannot actually copy that in our life. But Shiva Parvati marriage is amazing because it is a marriage of eternal consistency. One wife and full life, one wife. That's it. And despite so much contradiction between the two characters, still you're together. So that's exactly what human beings need to learn. Right? That's what we are all here to learn. I mean, we can't learn much from any other, the other two marriages, we can't copy anything. But this marriage, yes, certainly. Correct? Now, I used to, when we would give our Nityananda Sabha talks, so there was one line I had come across by one author. She says, what is compatibility? So she says that when in a couple, there is enough that is common and there is something that is different which attracts and complements each other, then the couple is said to be compatible. So this is one Prabhupada disciple Jagannath Shri Mataji. So she writes in her book, she says, when is a couple compatible? She says, when there is enough that they have common between each other, and there is also enough that is different from each other so that they can have that diversity there, then the marriage is said to be compatible. Okay? So if you look into that a little deeply, what it means is, between a man and a woman, there has to be some commonality also. Otherwise, they cannot stay together. And if you ask, what is it that should be common? The answer is, by and large, your samskaras and your food habits have to be common. That's why there is vivaha in a same jati. So that the samskaras and food habits, etc., they are by and large common. So there has to be compatibility in that. But in terms of your mental personality, a diversity is actually appreciated. Because our nature is to look for something that is not there in us. Like for example, one person is chaotic, other person is orderly. They in a way, they are opposite, but they actually attract each other. You know, that chaotic person, he also likes that orderliness. And in orderliness also, there is a little bore. You need some spontaneity and chaos in life too. Yeah, everything can't go like a clock. Right? So, in this way, in mental personality and ego, Jai Shri Radha Kunj Bihari Bhagwan ki, Radha Vrindavan Chandra Bhagwan ki Jai. Shri Gaurnita ki Jai. Jagannath Padre Subhadrami ki Jai. So, yeah. So, you need that difference also. Then only there is some compatibility. And that's where we are coming to Shiva and Parvati. If you see Shiva and Parvati coming back to their, Shiva and Parvati as a couple, as I was saying earlier, one is representing Bhoga, one is Tyaga. Literally, one author he says that one is representing matter and one is representing spirit. In a way, matter and spirit are completely incompatible. But still, we see each of us have a body which is, nothing but that matter and spirit in one entity only. Correct? We are all, like the word Atma has 7 meanings in Sanskrit. One meaning is the body and one meaning is the soul, the Atma, what we refer to. Okay. Even, Shiva and Parvati, who are looked at as Ardhanarishwara, there is this form, where there is the half the form of Parvati Devi, half the form of Lord Shiva. It is said that, when Vaishnava he comments, he says that this Ardhanarishwara form of Shiva and Parvati, they actually represent the Nishkama Karma of the Gita. Because Shiva stands for Nishkama, basically detachment. Correct? That's what Shiva always stands for. And Parvati is for involvement. Okay? That is karma. So the point is that couple as a whole represent how our life is supposed to be. You are involved, but don't be obsessed. And be detached, but at the same time, your detachment doesn't mean that you are not involved at all. You need both in life. So this is this wonderful marriage of this couple, which is, Shiva Parvati, from whom there is so much for us to learn. So this is the first lesson I wish to touch on. What we learn, what we can meditate on this wonderful couple, Lord Shiva and Mother Parvati. The second lesson is about Lord Shiva's role itself in Srishti. Okay? He has a very important role. Now, this role, there are 2 parts of this particular role. The first thing in Lord Shiva's role is the destruction part. So, we'll just talk about that as well, what type of destruction this is. And the second thing is to give an identity. Just one second. So good, my technology is teaching not to rely on it. So I had made some notes, but I suddenly lost it. But anyway, Lord Shiva, the destruction of Lord Shiva is a destruction, the destruction that he represents actually is not mindless destruction, but it is destruction to ensure a proper creation again. Okay, I'll elaborate this point. So just like if you see in the Bhagavatam, in the 12th canto, 4th chapter, it talks about four types of pralaya. Okay, if you know that particular chapter, it talks about four types of pralaya. One is called continuous pralaya, one is called occasional, one is material, and one is called final. So in essence, what it means is there is one type of pralaya where our body is getting destroyed, right? Continuously people are being born, they are growing old, they are dying. So that is also considered pralaya, destruction. That is one type of pralaya. Then there is occasional, like every Brahma's night, there is some pralaya. Some planetary systems are destroyed, right? And then again Srishti happens. Then there is material. That is at the time of the end of the universe. At that time also what happens? The entire universe only is destroyed. Okay, that is also pralaya. The fourth type of pralaya is final, which is our own liberation from this world. That is also pralaya. That is pralaya for you and me, individual. You finish your whole existence and you basically obtain moksha. Correct? So that is also called pralaya only. Right? So in this way there are these four types of pralaya. Now if you see, Lord Shiva has a role in all of these. Right? Because even if you see, the Smashan Bhumi is sometimes called as Rudra Bhumi. It is a place of Lord Shiva only. He has that role in that. So what is his role there? See, that destruction which is there, it has a purpose, right? Because when your body is completely worn out, there is no use of such an old and worn out body. Better give it up and get a new body. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Lord Shiva's destruction is not without a purpose. It is not simply to destroy. It is to destroy so that you can be given another chance. Okay, so because the nature of matter is, it is constantly deteriorating. So once it becomes old and dysfunctional, to sit with a dysfunctional set of matter is considered anti-Shiva, anti-Rudra, because it doesn't make any sense. Right? In fact, that's one reason in the Bhagavad Gita also we see that Bhishma and Drona are said to have very old bodies now. It's very good that they give up this old body and get a new body. Okay, so that they can actually contribute better in a sense. So that's what Shiva represents. So that's why I'm saying the Rudra of Lord Shiva is not a Rudra Tattva which is meant to simply destroy. So please try to understand, there is a difference in it. Like for example, Ashwathama's destruction which was there, where he tried to kill Parikshit, etc., that was a wrong use of Rudra Shakti. It was Rudra Shakti only, but it was improper use of Rudra Shakti, because that Rudra Shakti was not facilitating a creation. It was actually meant to terminate an entire legacy only. Okay, so that's not the ideal Rudra Shakti. And that's why we see, whenever there is unnecessary danger coming up for the creation, where destruction must not happen, that time Lord Shiva comes and stops it. Just like we see in the Bhagavatam 8th canto, the story of Samudra Manthan, where all this poison comes out, and the universe is not to be destroyed prematurely. So Lord Shiva actually comes and saves everyone from destruction. Okay, so the whole theme is this, that the destruction is there, but it is not mindless destruction. It is not destruction just for the sake of it, right? Right? It is destruction only when it is needed. So this distinction has to be understood. So for example, even in this world, when we see, some countries or people are unnecessarily destroying something, then that is actually not the correct use of Rudra Shakti. Because that destruction is not meant for an auspicious cause. Like we know, right? Shiva also means auspicious. So the destruction is meant to create some new auspiciousness. So if anybody is simply destroying something, just like, we are destroying the environment, or just destruction, plain mad destruction due to foolishness, craziness, materialism, that actually doesn't represent Lord Shiva and his tattva. Okay, his tattva is represented only when there is a destruction. And on the other hand, when something is actually worn out, but we don't destroy, like for example, householders will understand this example. Sometimes in our homes, we collect too many old things which are actually useless. मतलब पूरी तरह से टूट चुका है, it's completely worn out and absolutely useless, but somehow due to some attachment you don't want to throw it, some legacy stuff, which we are still keeping. Then that is against the principle of Rudra, because if you don't destroy something that is supposed to be destroyed, then you cannot create a new legacy, right? You cannot create something new, you cannot use that space more effectively. So this is also what Lord Shiva represents. Meaningful destruction. Now why again this is connected? Why Lord Shiva is connected as Rudra or destruction is also because we see that how his birth also happens. At the time of his birth, we know that how is Lord Shiva born? Right? The Kumaras refuse to procreate. Okay? And that anger, because they refuse to procreate, that anger of Brahma comes as Shiva. Correct? Now why this is important is because procreation is again a very important act to maintain the legacy of the world. By not procreating, it is actually a destruction of a lineage, right? And that was the anger of Brahmaji, which ultimately came out as Rudra. That came out in the form of a Rudra in front of him. Okay, so that is also the birth of Lord Shiva's birth itself is like that only. It is coming from that particular situation where there is a destruction being attempted. But in general, Shiva represents a destruction that is auspicious only, which has a purpose, which is not without that particular purpose. This is the second point I want to say about Lord Shiva. The third point which I wish to speak about Lord Shiva is, Shiva represents the ego, the necessity of people to have a place and fulfillment. Now if you go back to Rudra's birth itself in the Bhagavatam, when Rudra is born, what is the first thing he's talking to Lord Brahma? He's saying two things. He's saying, please assign me name, place. Okay? And then Brahmaji says, okay, these are your 11 names. These are the 11 places where you will reside, and this is what you will do. So basically, everyone in Srishti needs an identity. This ego which is there, right, it is actually needed. You need an identity by which you can understand what your contribution and role in the world is. No one can say that this is not important for me. It may be false, it may be temporary. That part is accepted. Okay, but that identity, that expression of that in terms of wanting to do something and a space where you can do that is very important. And that is what Lord Shiva represents. And that is why we see that he is extremely compassionate to those people who don't have such a facility. Right? We know from the Srimad Bhagavatam and other scriptures that Lord Shiva is extremely compassionate to the ghosts, etc., who don't have that identity, a space where they can function. So he says, chalo, I'll give you a body. I'll give you this kshetra. If somebody is doing something inappropriately at a particular time, go sit there. Okay, so that's why he's surrounded by all these ghosts and hobgoblins. They all are looking for a place to function. And so why these points are actually important to think about is because, as Vaishnavas, we may not explicitly be having a regular puja of Lord Shiva or something. Or there may be so many people in the world also who are by and large materialistic, who may not worship Shiva as such. But despite that, no one can say that these principles that Lord Shiva embodies are not important for you. It is important for all of us. The marriage of Shiva Parvati, the concept of destruction at the right time only and not unnecessary destruction at the wrong time, and the concept of an ego and a particular identity which you can have, because of which you can contribute something in the world. Everybody needs it. No one can say that I don't need this. So that is the essence of the Shiva Tattva, correct? Which is important for all of us. Besides this, the other aspect about Lord Shiva also we know is that he is a Mahajana, he is a great lover of Krishna, etc. So I was very mesmerized to come across, when I came across this very beautiful verse. This is a verse which is composed by Sridhara Swami in his invocation in his Bhagavatam commentary. So this I learned from our teacher who was teaching us Sridhara Swami's commentary. So this is a very beautiful verse. I'm just reciting it and say the meaning. Madhavo Madhava Visho Sarva Siddhi Vidhayino Vande Parasparatmano Paraspara Nuti Priyo. Sridhara Swami, he writes in the invocation, Madhava Umadhavo Isho. Two lords he is offering obeisances. To whom? Madhava and Umadhava. Umadhava means what? The Lord of Uma, who is Shiva. Madhava Umadhava Isho Sarva Siddhi Vidhayino. Sarva Siddhi Vidhayino means what? These two can award perfection to everybody, he says. Vande Parasparatmano. They are the life and soul of each other. He glorifies them in dual case. Paraspara Nuti Priyo. And they always like to praise each other. We see in the Puranas always, right? Whenever Lord Rama or Krishna is coming, they are worshipping Shiva. And when Shiva, what is he doing? He is meditating on Krishna. So they both like to praise each other. Okay? They are the life and soul of each other. This is how Sridhara Swami glorifies, Madhava and Umadhava very beautifully in his invocation to express his, his love towards these two personalities. So that's why this unnecessary thinking about Shiva, like Nityananda Prabhu, we know the story that when he met some people, who are arguing about whether Shiva is great or Vishnu is great or whatever, they were having some quarrel with each other. It is said that he simply laughed and he went away. Because at this level, as we see here, they are the life and soul of each other. And they are very happy to praise each other. So this is Lord Shiva and Parvati, whom we can meditate on this particular day, etc. So moving on to the next theme. Okay, the next theme is the Vaishnava qualities mentioned here in this verse. Okay, Chitra Ketu Maharaj, he is called as a Vaishnava in this verse because of his quality. What is the quality? He is not retaliating despite being cursed. That quality is making our, is because of which Shukadeva Goswami says that he is a great Vaishnava. And Prabhupada also talks like that in the purport only. So the whole point is, if you ask this question, who is a Vaishnava? The answer is, a Vaishnava is decided when he has those qualifications. If he has the qualifications, he is Vaishnava. So it's not just about that external, it's about having that qualification. So in this Giriraj Maharaj's new book which has come out, there's a nice story that he writes, which I want to quote first. Okay, the story is Prabhupada and his about couple dozen Western disciples, they have gone to Surat. Okay, so this is from December 15th, 1970 to January 3rd, 1971. For a period of 20 days, Prabhupada and couple dozen Western devotees stay at the house of one Bhagubai Jariwala in Surat. And this Bhagubai Jariwala, he has a 4-story house. And what he does is, the ground floor is for the prasadam distribution and reception area, the kitchen. The first floor he gives completely to Prabhupada, Prabhupada's servant quarters, the balcony where Prabhupada stands, where devotees are singing down and waving at him, etc. The second floor he gives to all the ladies of the entourage. The third floor to all the men of the entourage, Prabhupada disciples. And Mr. Jariwala, his wife and his children, they stay in the terrace for 20 days on the 4th floor. So that's how Giriraj Maharaj describes. He stays on the terrace because there was no space. He had given his entire house to these visiting people. And he said each day he and his wife and their family would cook best delicacies and offer to Prabhupada and his disciples. And they would ask, it seems, would you wish something more? And Giriraj Maharaj writes that sometimes we didn't know the Indian culture. So they would say, yes, I want this particular item. And sometimes that item would have been over. But they would go and cook it, because it was asked. It was not just a formality. You want some more kheer, and there is no kheer only. Hey, Prabhuji, I don't want. I also know it is over. I saw you serving. It was the last spoon you were scraping from the pot. No, right. So he also, the devotees would ask, I want this. And they would go and cook. They would say, please wait, we'll get it. And he says, most of the time, whatever they cooked would get over. And the family had to cook again later for themselves. And it seems Prabhupada had to tell the disciples indirectly that we have to be courteous to our guest and all that. So this was going on for 20 days. In the daytime, these people would go for Sankirtan and come back. And of course, and they were eating 3 times prasad at Jariwala's house. And it is said on the final day, when the devotees were about to leave, all these, Mr. Jariwala, and he comes and he gathers all Prabhupada disciples and Prabhupada in one room. He gives everyone 51 rupees and an envelope and a thank you greeting card. And he falls at the feet of every devotee and starts crying, saying that please forgive me for my inability to serve you well. And please forgive any offenses. In this way, he cries at the feet of everyone, including Prabhupada. Which is Prabhupada, at the end of that, he tells all the devotees, this is a Vaishnava. He has not committed any offense. He has not done anything wrong. He has served to the best of his capacity, but still he is begging forgiveness. This is a Vaishnava. We should learn from him. Prabhupada tells. So when I was reading the story, I was just thinking that externally, if we would perhaps see Mr. Jariwala, he would look like some typical life member maybe. He may not be having the symbolisms of a devotee. Not that the symbolisms aren't important, but the point is, these have importance so long as you have developed some of these Vaishnava qualities. Because if they are not developed, then it just only symbol is there. There is nothing. And that's why we see, even if you come back to Bhagavad Gita, so now we'll go into Gita. If you come to Bhagavad Gita, we see that Krishna defines the qualities in the 12th chapter. It's so beautiful. In the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna defines a devotee in terms of qualities only. From 12.13 to 12.20. Adveshta sarvabhutana maitra karuna evacha nirmamo nirahankaraha samadukka sukakshami. Okay. Only in terms of qualities a devotee is described. No externalisms, nothing has been spoken by Krishna about who the devotee is. Only in terms of quality. If you reach this quality, so Vaishnava is actually a position. It's a position which is having all these wonderful qualities, like what we are reading. If you are there, then no, of course, no one will have the arrogance to call himself or herself a Vaishnava, but others can say, yes, look, this is a Vaishnava. Like here the Bhagavatam is saying, look at Chitra Ketu, this is Vaishnava. Like that. It's a particular level of qualities when they have reached. Otherwise, it seems no purpose. So now what I'm going to do is, these verses in the 12th chapter Gita are very much related to the context that we are reading. So this is from Ramanuja commentary. So he talks about, I'm just going to take 2 verses from the Gita, which are relevant to the context that we are discussing. The first one we are taking is Adveshta sarvabhutana maitra karuna evacha nirmamo nirahankaraha samadukka sukakshami. Adveshta means, so first of all, Ramanuja starts by saying that these qualities, he says, are not just for a devotee. He says any yogi, including karma yogi, must have these qualifications. Why? Because if you see in the Gita, just before this verse, Krishna starts in 12.8 by talking about a devotee, right? But then if you see 9, 10, 11 and all that, he eventually comes to the platform of a karma yogi only. He says that at least do something for somebody. Right? In 12.11, that's what Krishna says, that okay, if you are not interested to do for me, then do something for someone. Don't live a selfish life, man, in this world, Krishna says. And then all the qualities start. He says that these qualities are for every yogi. Devotee will have it, maybe at the superlative level. But others also must have. You cannot say that you are a yogi, any type of yogi, without these qualities. Okay, so that's the first thing. But still, we are going to focus on the devotee having these qualities. So first quality Krishna says is Adveshta sarvabhutana. The Adveshta means what? Not having dvesha towards anyone. Okay. Now what does this mean? So he says, not having dvesha to anyone means even if there is someone on whom you feel this person is worthy of dvesha, still you should not have dvesha on him. Okay, it's not that I say that, oh, my best friend, I am not having dvesha. No, that will never be there only, by default. Someone is there on whom there is all possibility for dvesha, but still you are not having dvesha. And furthermore what? Maitra. Not only you are just saying that, okay, I don't have dvesha. No, maitra. You should aspire that they should also have something good. So that maitra, which Krishna is saying, is connected to that adveshta sarva bhutana, because it's the next thing, maitra. That means you should have maitri towards us. Maitri means what? Mitatrayate iti mitraha. That means you should feel that even these people's trouble should go away. Then Krishna is not stopping there. He is saying karuna. You should feel bad also for them when they are in trouble. You should feel bad for them. Now for this is a story. We'll come to Chitra Ketu very soon, but this is the first level story. This is a story of this Ramanuja's one associate whose name was Kuresh. So the story is, I'll not go into the full details, but the story is, at one point of time, there is this king Kolatunga who wants to prove, he is again a fanatic, who is again lost in this unnecessarily debate between who is superior, Krishna or Shiva. And he wants some great person to proclaim that Shiva only is supreme. So there is this person called Naluram. Okay, he is actually an associate of Ramanuja, but he says that you get Ramanuja. If he says, then everybody will agree. So then, because there is a danger to life of Ramanuja, so Kuresh goes dressed in a sannyasi robes, and he refuses to say. Somebody may say, "Arey, just bol do na, kya farak padta hai?" But he doesn't say. And then we know that the cruel Kolatunga, he plucks out his eyes and he sends him back. When he sends him back, Ramanuja later comes from Melkote and they meet at Kanchipuram. They come to Varada. And Ramanuja is asking Kuresh, Varada is the Lord who gives any benediction you want. So Ramanuja is telling Kuresh that please pray for your eyes back. So he offers all prayers. And then Ramanuja is asking, did you ask for your eyes? He says, no. He says, I asked. Then what did you ask for? So he says, I was praying for this Naluram. So this is Adveshta, he says. Adveshta, Maitra, Karuna. All three you see in this character of Naluram. Why? This is Vaishnava quality. What is the Vaishnava quality here? This person is worthy of Dvesha. Any normal person, what he will think, Hare, he put me in trouble, man. मिला तो एकदम ऐसा बॉक्स करूंगा ना उसका सब दांत निकाल दूंगा उसका. That's the, like in our normal slang language we say पंगा ना, पंगा लेने का किसी से. That kind of a thing. But that's not a Vaishnava perspective. So there is no panga over here. Kuresh is saying that I'm praying for Naluram because he was conscious that maybe, the Lord may not forgive him. So better let's pray for that. So this is considered a Vaishnava example. Okay. Similarly, all the other qualities are described. Then now we move to the next level. Now this also somebody may say, oh, ठीक है, इससे भी आगे हो सकता है क्या? So there is another verse, this is 12.18, where again quality of devotee has been described. That is in the context of Chitra Ketu. Samashatrau cha mitrecha tata manapamanayo shitoshna sukha dukkeshu samasanga vivarjita. We know this verse. So samaha means what? Be equal. Shatrau cha mitrecha, to a shatru and mitra. So the question being raised is, how can the devotee consider somebody shatru? What kind of devotee is thinking he is my shatru, he is mitra? So the answer is no. The devotee is not thinking he is shatru, he is mitra. There are other people thinking that he is my shatru. To such a person who thinks that you are his shatru or you are his mitra, the devotee sees both of them equally. Samashatrau cha mitrecha. Now somebody may say, what is the difference between this and Adveshta Sarvabhutana? So the answer is, Adveshta Sarvabhutanam is spoken in the context of people who may be far away from you. Sometimes we are sitting in one room, but still we are feeling envy towards someone who is somewhere else only. That's why we gave the example of Kuresh, Naluram. Naluram was not standing next to Kuresh at any point of time. But still you have all reason to feel dvesha towards that person, correct? But you don't feel. That means not feeling anger towards somebody who is not present in your immediate vicinity is spoken in Adveshta. But in 12.18, Samashatrocha Mitrecha, what is the context of the verse? If you see the entire verse, it says, Shitoshna Sukha Dukkeshu, Shita Ushna. So Shita Ushna means what? Shita Ushna is something which you feel in vicinity. That means if it is cold in America currently, I am not going to feel cold right now. If it is cold here, then I feel the cold. So here the Samashatra or the Mitra is spoken in the context, if the Shatru or the Mitra or the person who perceives you as a Shatru or Mitra is standing next to you, then also you need to see them equally. You understood? So the commentator said 12.18 takes you ahead of 12.13. In 12.13, Krishna is only expecting you to not feel envy and wish well for people who are against you but who are far away. But in 12.18, Krishna is expecting you to feel a sense of equality to somebody who is standing next to you and behaving as a Shatru. And that is where we are coming to Maharaj Chitra Ketu. Because in the Chitra Ketu's context, Parvati is right there. She has cursed him. If you think about it from a psychological perspective, when someone is standing next to you and doing something with the bhav of Shatruta, the feeling of vengeance, the feeling of wanting to hit back is even more stronger. But Krishna is expecting in 12.18 that not just for somebody who is far away, somebody who is standing near to you feeling envy towards you or feeling a Shatruta bhav towards you, just like you tolerate heat and cold when it is next to you. Similarly, here also you need to be sama. And that's what we see with Chitra Ketu Maharaj. We are seeing this character exhibited. So that's what we are saying, that devotee ultimately means these characteristics. If you have these characteristics, then you are Vaishnava. Otherwise you are not. Like we saw the Jariwala example, etc. Right? And such incidents are so much in Bhagavatam. We'll just take two and conclude. So in the first canto of Bhagavatam, we see this beautiful, this story of Parikshit being cursed by this Brahmana boy, right? When that happens, it was an offense, but in one sense it was insignificant offense. He put a dead snake on the rishi. But the disproportionate anger was shown by the son. okay, who cursed him. Now, when the father comes to know this, what, you please recite after me. It's a very beautiful verse which is connected to this thing. Tiraskrita vipralabdha shapta kshipta hata api nasya tat pratikurvanti tad bhakta prabhavopihi. What a verse. It's like, this verse is, if you just, as we recite this verse and we just think about the meaning of the words, what a classic. Tiraskrita. Tiraskrita means defaming somebody. Vipralabdha. Vipralabdha means you're cheated. Shapta, you're cursed. Kshipta, okay, disturbed by negligence. That means ignore kar diya usko. Hata, tries to kill. Nasya tat pratikurvanti. Still, the devotees of the Lord, Prabhupada says here in the translation, are so forbearing that though they are defamed, cursed, cheated, disturbed, neglected, or even killed, they are never inclined to avenge themselves. Nasya tat pratikurvanti. They don't do the pratikurvan. Tat bhakta prabhavopihi. And that purport is also interesting because Prabhupada talks about the fact that for oneself one shouldn't do that, but if the Lord or the devotees are harmed, then one should. Okay, this is also an important lesson because that's what we see in the Gita. In the Gita, when Arjuna is feeling compassion for all these people, thinking, why unnecessarily kill all these people for what they have done to me? In one purport, Prabhupada says that this is because of Arjuna's qualifications as a great devotee. But in the very next purport, he says, no, this is weakness. So the point here is, on a personal level, yes. But when an entire, race, an entire, the devotee, everybody is being troubled by someone, then again the Vaishnava, has to take that action as well. Okay, that's why Gita is very interesting. But anyway, coming back to this, here again the quality of a devotee is seen. Correct? And similarly, and Parikshit Maharaj responds actually just like that. If you see, when Parikshit Maharaj comes to know that he was cursed, what does he say? Dhruvam tato me kritadeva helanad duratyayam vyasanam nati dirgad tadastu kamam hyaganishkritaya me yatana kurya punareva madha. Parikshit taught, due to my neglecting the injunctions of the Lord, I must expect some difficulty to overcome me in the near future. I now desire without reservation that the calamity comes now, for in this way I will be freed from the sinful action and I will not commit such offenses again. Okay, so he takes it like that. Similarly, we see even in the other story in the third canto, when the Kumaras are there, they are cursing Jay and Vijay. The way Jay and Vijay respond, see, even they were competent. If they wanted, they could have done some counter curse, etc. But they don't. In all these stories, one thing we notice is that you may say that there is a slight mistake on the part of these people, though it is unintentional, whether it is Parikshit Maharaj, Chitra Ketu, or even the Jay and Vijay. None of this was very intentional, or none of this was even very overly harmful also. He put a dead snake, or he just laughed, whatever. But the pratikriya was actually quite high. He was cursed to die, and here he was cursed to be a demon. The response of the other party was too much. Here Kumaras also said, go to the material world only, get lost from here. Too much actually. But still, see, that's a Vaishnava quality. They are conscious that no, we have done something here. So they just step back. So that's again a quality. Again, we see in the Jai Vijay also, Bhuya Dagoni Bhagavad Birakari Dando Yono Haret Surahelanam Apyashesham Mavo Nutapa Kalaya Bhagavat Smritigno Moho Bhaved Ihadunau Brachato Radhodaha. After being cursed by the sages, the doorman said, Jay and Vijay, it is quite apt that you have punished us for neglecting to respect sages like you. But we pray that due to your compassion at our repentance, the illusion of forgetting the Supreme Personality of Godhead will not come upon us as we progressively go downward. So they are also taking it in a very, they are actually begging forgiveness even as they are cursed. They are not even thinking that, hey, come on, you people have overreacted to the situation and you have cursed us beyond measure. No, they just say that this is how it is. Okay, so we just conclude. So today this beautiful verse of which we read from the Srimad Bhagavatam, there were two themes we took. One is about Shiva Parvati because it was Shivaratri. So I spoke about three things from Shiva and Parvati. One is their marriage, which is amazing for all of us to learn from. Human society especially, they are a great example. The second thing is about destruction as a principle when it is needed. Okay, you don't destroy unnecessarily. You don't destroy prematurely. Okay, like for example, abortion is not Rudra Shakti. No, that's wrong use of it. That's what Ashwatthama was doing, right? He was doing abortion to Uttara, right? He was killing the child in the womb. So that is not Rudra Shakti. No, you are trying to terminate something prematurely. You can't do that. Okay. At the right time, when the body is old, no, Rudra Shakti is needed so that it will fall down and you get another body. So like that. So there is positive, negative Rudra Shakti. Third thing we saw is that Rudra stands for this principle of ego identification. Everybody needs it. Everyone in the world needs an identity, a role they can fit in. Otherwise, they never feel fulfilled. They are like ghost only. Looking, what can I do, Baba? Mere ko koi role hi nahi hai idhar. So that type of a thing. So these are three things we learned from Lord Shiva. Then we went into the verse itself, the Bhagavatam verse. We saw about Chitra Ketu Maharaj's qualities. We spoke about how Krishna speaks in Gita, Vaishnava as qualities. We saw the example of that Jariwala, his qualities, how they enamored Prabhupada very much. And then I spoke from two verses, Adveshta Sarvabhutanam and Samashatrau Cha Mitrecha from the Bhagavad Gita, saying that you don't feel dvesha for someone far away from you and you don't feel shatruta with someone near you, even though he's doing something wrong, like Chitra Ketu's case. And then we saw some other incidents in Srimad Bhagavatam where such a character was displayed and hence such people are considered as great Vaishnavas. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Maybe just one question, if it is there, 9, 10. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Prabhu, for a wonderful presentation. My question is about the second part, wherein you explained about the qualities of Vaishnava, what to speak of Vaishnava, even a normal person should have. The examples of Parikshit, Chitra Ketu and Jai Vijay, at least in case of Chitra Ketu and Jai Vijay, the other person was also Vaishnava, or at least a devotee to some extent. So how do we understand, because this instruction in given Bhagavad Gita about the qualities of Vaishnava would be applicable to the other person also. But however we see that they are behaving in a particular way, they are reacting in a to the degree that is much more than what we see. Yeah. So how do we see this in the community?
Yeah. So in the story we need to understand who is the hero here. The hero in the Parikshit story is Parikshit, right? Not that Rishi, not that Brahmana. Even here, if you see, I mean, we saw in the purport also, Lord Shiva is not so much approving what Parvati did. Very gently he's saying that, itna karna zarurat nahi tha. But very politely he's telling that to his wife. Because that also you have to be sensitive, right? You tell too much, then you will land in personal trouble. But he tells that this is not so correct. See, he's actually glorifying Chitra Ketu, indicating to Parvati. Okay, so here again, the focus in the story, the spotlight, the hero is Chitra Ketu. Okay, like that. So the point is, yes, ideally everybody should have, every yogi is supposed to have, but sometimes people may not. So, so that's the reality of the world. Okay, so the Vaishnava on his own, for his own sake, he doesn't do that type of retaliation. That is the thing that we see. Again, see, that's why this concept, again, Arjuna, that was the weakness with the other people who were trying to exploit, remember? Because they knew that these people are not going to be that retaliatory nature. And they weren't. That's why it took Krishna, Vyasa, all these people to motivate them to fight the battle. Because it was not easy. The Pandavas were not that much also. Even if you see in the Mahabharata, it comes, when Krishna is going as Shantidut, Bhima is telling Krishna, try to see if some patch-up can be done. Can you imagine that? Krishna is saying, Hare, of all the people, Bhima is saying this. He has to take on all this. Wow, I'm going to drink the blood. I'm going to smash the thigh and this and that. He also says, let's try to be as far as possible non-violent. Unnecessarily, we don't want to trouble anybody. See, so that qualities of Vaishnava, but how many years exploited by the other party? That's Mahabharata, right? So Krishna finally says, Abhi enough is enough. Abhi kuch nahi chalega. Abhi punish karna hi padega inko. Okay, so that's the other lesson part of it. Where, you are personally very this thing, but you may have to do that. But in these cases that we see, it was only one person getting affected. If you see in that, at least there is a whole civilization at stake. Here it is just one person and they understand that this is ordained by the Lord. That's again another thing about the Bhagavatam. Where Parikshit Maharaj also understands that, this is Lord's instruction. They take it as the Lord's clue to them to just get out and move out from the scene. Okay, so that's why they don't do the pratikriya or try to fight against that. But you get the point, right? But yeah, Hare Bol. Yeah. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Janita Gaur Premanande Hare Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. This one? Start with. Shri Sachi Sutastha